Hi, this is Mike Jennings, head professional at Pine Oaks Golf Course. With me today, I have our golf course superintendent, Bill Fuller. We're going to talk a little bit about changing hole locations. We have people come in quite often asking about why we put holes in different locations and different spots on the green. I know some are easier than others, and so they want to know why can't we just keep those easier locations there more often. Bill's going to be here today. Bill, if you could kind of give them a little bit of information on why it's so important to move those hole locations around.
Well, we have a couple of primary reasons, Mike. The first is just to give variety to the golfers. That's one of the primary reasons. You know, you can really change the difficulty of a golf hole or the strategy by where you put the pin placement. So the first reason is just to give variety to the golfers. The second reason is more from a maintenance standpoint. You know, if you think about it, every golfer that plays every hole ends up in an area right beside the green. So if we don't move the cup very often, that area can get very worn down, compacted, that type of thing. So from a maintenance aspect, we want to move the cup pretty regularly just to keep from those areas from getting worn down. So that's kind of why we move cups so often. We usually do it about 4 days a week on average.
So very important that we do that. Again, you'll have worn out areas. You'll get used to being in the same locations, and we all want some variety and some different shots and some different opportunities to play some different things as we come into the holes. Bill, you want to give an example of what it's like when we go through and changing the cup and what's involved in that process?
I will, unless you want to try.
Well, let me observe, okay?
Okay. The first thing I do, Mike, is just look for a good location. When I think about that, you know, when most golfers play golf, they don't make the wrong putts, so they end up with just a 2 or 3 foot putt. And so what I want is good turf in the area around the cup. I don't want a whole lot of ball marks, a whole lot of old plugs, you know, because nobody wants to miss those 2 or 3 footers. So I try just not to have a whole lot of ball marks or plugs in the area immediately around the cup, just so they'll have a good smooth turf around that area. But the first thing I do after I find that location is I just start a twisting motion. And I go down about halfway. I try to keep the edge nice and clean. Sometimes you have to pull that out of there slow. I take the first cut and put it by the old pin. And then I take what's called a cup puller. Pull the old cup out of the hole. Move it to the new location. And then I will take my second cut. When I'm doing this, I try to get everything as level as I can. You don't want the cup sitting in there sideways or whatever, and you want the flag to be straight up and down. So I try to cut it as level as I can. Then I take the second cut and I put it straight into the old hole. Had a little rain last night, so I have to push out some water.
Tremendous amount of rain over the last couple of nights. You also get an opportunity where you can see the layering now with all the sand and different things that aid in the green being a little softer, and what makes it a lot different from the fairway or your lawn at home.
And one of the most important aspects of this job is to get the cup or the plug back in very level with the old hole. And the reason for that is we're mowing greens about 1/8 of an inch. So if I were to get this old plug back in there just 1/8 of an inch too high, the greens mower will come along and scalp that off, and then you'll have a dead spot. So this is one of the most important aspects of the job, is just getting the plug back in level with the turf surface. As you can see, that's pretty high, so what I'll have to do is pull that out.
try to get that plug as level as possible. You also don't want to get it too low, because then if you do that, you know, somebody could be putting along this line and it would hit the old plug too low and it could knock the putt offline. So pretty much the most important part of the job is just getting that thing back in there nice and level. So after that, I'm ready to put in the new cup, and I use what's called a cup setter to do that. Just put the cup in, cup setter on top. What the cup setter does is it sets the cup at a regulation depth. So you don't want the cup too high. If that would be the case, a lot of times a ball would come in and hit the top part of the cup and can actually knock the ball out of the hole. So you want to set it at regulation depth. So you just step on that, press it all the way down. Another thing that does is when you pull out your plug, a lot of times it will raise that ground up around the cup. So this kind of pushes everything back down. It's a good level. And after you do that, put in the pin, and we're ready for golfers.
Fantastic. As you can see, a lot goes into changing the hole locations out here. It's very important to the player, also very important to the quality of the turf grass. Again, Bill was mentioning we change these as often as 4 times a week. We have 18 holes, including over on the practice green. You can see it takes some time to do it right, but we want to make sure we ensure a good experience for the golfers coming out. We'd love to hear some feedback from you, some tips that you'd like to hear. Please log on to our website at www.johnsoncitygolf.org. All of our specials and upcoming events are there. You also can shoot us an email with some things that you'd like to see us talk about in some coming episodes.